Let's get this on. Welcome to Rokk Around the Clock. Daily cloud gaming news live at the same time, Monday to Friday. But first, if you're new to the show, please subscribe and hit the bell. If you'd like to support the channel, why not hit the join button on the channel homepage and become a member of Team Rokk? Hey, Rokk breaking out the moves. How about that on a Monday? How are you guys? It's Monday. It's the end of the Monday for me, working day, but it's the start if you're on the West Coast, and it's kind of midday if you're on the East Coast. And if you're one of my very good friends on the continent of Europe, then it's even a little bit later. And then a little bit later still if you're out towards the east of Europe. But I'm not. I'm very much north west. Glad to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's of course Monday. It's Rokk Around the Clock. There's not a massive amount of news as you'd expect on a Monday, but we got some stuff to go through, and we can do our usual thing of chatting, just chatting away. I see the first guy here was actually my good friend Ant, but just before him, this fellow called Rokk Show put up a little message. Welcome to Monday. Clocks are now in sync because of course clocks went fall back in the continent of America yesterday. So if you're Canada or North America, I assume it's the same in South America, but I do have to feign ignorance on that front. We're all around the same kind of position as far as the clocks are concerned now, which is very dark where I am. It's absolutely pitch black, because of course if you think I love doing this, right? I love taking a phrase like pitch black and breaking it up, picking it apart. Where's it come from? Well, of course, pitch is the tar. It's the kind of liquid tar that they used to use to light lamps. So they would use pitch. And of course, because it's from tar, it was black, hence pitch black. There you go. Ka-ching! It's one of those really obvious ones, but most people don't stop and think about that stuff, do they? Yes, Anthony was here first. He was the first in line. Amen. And then Joe came swiftly in behind. Great to see you, Joe. Hope you're doing well, my friend, and all things are going well in the land of angry poultry. And then, just in behind, came Eddie, ER Gaming. Everyone an evening and an evening to everyone. It's a kind of a Dickensian way of saying things, wasn't it? I love Dickens. Now, I used to have a little joke that said, do you love Dickens? Yes, but not on the first date. But, it's kind of got a bit dusty now. But I do love a bit of Charles Dickens. My favourite story is, of course, A Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge, a fantastic story. But what Dickens used to do, you may not know this, Dickens used to write his stories. They were serialised in, I think, the London Times at that time. So he would write a chapter per week or month. I'm not too sure how it worked. So he'd start with a concept, Christmas Carol, for example, and then he would write the story over the preceding weeks and months. I'm not even sure that he totally knew how it was going to end, but that's what he did. And of course, he would then pull them all together and release them as a book. An immensely successful man, slightly dodgy side to his character, but that's the same with a lot of very famous folk. None more so, indeed, than Phileas T. Barnum, P.T. Barnum, the Greatest Showman, who, of course, the amazing musical film. I absolutely adore the soundtrack, but it's nothing like real life. He was a very dodgy character in reality. It's worth checking these people out sometimes just to, I don't know why. I don't know why they haven't brought The Greatest Showman to theatres. And I mean, musical theatres, stage theatres. I think it would be an amazing stage show, and it wouldn't have to have huge Ackman in it. It would just need to have decent singers and actors, and it could be great fun. Imagine it on stage with a load of people and the kind of circus. There's the actual circle, which is obviously where circus comes from Latin for circle, and with elephants, as maybe elephants could be projected up on a screen so they look really real. All that it baffles me why they've never done it. I think it would be amazing. Great to see so many of you. Geek to Sneak. Heyo, my good friend. I hope you're well. I hope you had a great weekend, guys, by the way. And Mugen Live is here representing my continental buddies. Guten Abend, Team Rokk. Themes up. Guten Abend to you, buddy. And then that was me doing a few little dance moves because you may have noticed it's a live camera that I have at the welcome screen, so blurred out. So sometimes I just like to prove it, showing I'm doing it to the beat. 13-hour round trip to watch Newcastle United Football Club yesterday, says K-Sport. Thank you, Steam Deck, for making time go quickly. I have to assume you were either a passenger in a car or on a bus or a train. It could have been bit dangerous if you were driving with the Steam Deck. Nonetheless possible, but dangerous. Good stuff. Yeah, that's where they're great, aren't they? Actually, you did well to get 13 hours of battery life out of it, to be fair. Where did they, they were, presumably they were away, because I know you're from, that's your home ground, that's your home territory, isn't it? So let me see, 7 hours. Well, it could be anywhere, couldn't it? I'm not sure who Newcastle were playing yesterday, but I hope it was a good game for you, my friend. And Ray, the gaming cyborg, big wave to Ray and a lovely cheesy grin to my good friend. How are you? Bjorn from Sweden is cooking dinner and watching Rokk with a question mark. He's not even sure. But today, for one day only, our friend Bjorn is the Swedish chef from the Muppets. Bjordy Spurdy, Gerdy Spurdy. Southampton. Awesome. My wife is right now, actually she's probably near now, K-Sport. She's not a million miles away from Southampton. She's taken my youngest back to university today, and then she's going there, and then she's coming back, and she's staying at my other daughter so we've got one daughter who's one side of Southampton and the other daughter that's the other side of Southampton. So I know the area well. I also know the weather wasn't great there yesterday. Or the weekend. It's pretty rubbish everywhere, but I'm guessing it was possibly a little bit warmer than from whence you had departed. So that's got to be good news. Hit the thumb up for Rokk. Yeah, thanks, Ray. Hit the old like and, of course, subscribe. Those likes and comments in the description, it really help the old algorithm. And the fact that you guys are watching the whole show really helps as well, which is amazing. Thank you so much. Rokk Mirth is here. Hey, chat. Oh, look. Josiah as well. Josiah Martinez, who is mostly Martinez. Good day to all. Good day to you, my friend. I hope you're keeping well. Primo, fantastic to have you in. Your show starts at 7 now. Yes, my friend. We're now we're all synchronized at last. It was interesting last week. The only show we couldn't do in the hour forward, because you guys in the States hadn't quite caught up, was Rokk Player, because Bjorn had family commitments. But all the other shows, I managed to get them in, and it was interesting for me because it was still light, doing them that little bit earlier in the day for me. And now, of course, we've synchronized and it is pitch black. It is incredibly dark. The sun has gone to sleep. Well, look at this. We've got Gadget Kev. Gadgets Kev is in the house. How are you, Kev? Good to see you, my friend. Evening Rokk chat. And Joe's, all you wonderful folk. Yeah, we do it's true, Joe. They are amazing folk in the chat. And just to underline that, we have Demi, Goddess of Gaming. Lovely Monday to everyone. And a lovely week as well. I hope you have a fantastic week coming up. What's this? What's Ant saying? Rokk, Yes? What is it, Ant? God of War Ragnarok is coming. I know, it's exciting, isn't it? Possibly the biggest game this year, besides Modern Warfare 2, and will win Game of the Year. Well, yeah, I mean, let's reserve judgment and play it first, but I wouldn't be surprised. I know it's massive, and I know they have rolled out a massive marketing campaign. Al Davis, who does the audio track for Rokk players, he put a little tweet up earlier with a photo, and he was at a bus stop. He's in London, I believe, and he was at a bus stop, and there was a huge poster on the bus stop for Ragnarok, and then a bus driving past with a huge poster on the bus for Ragnarok. So they're really putting in the money. And don't forget, guys, I'm running a competition which you can find out on my Twitter. That's at Rokk Show, and it's running until Wednesday, so day and date on the 9th. When the game goes live, I'm giving away a copy of Ragnarok on PlayStation with 60 days of PS Plus Premium. So don't forget to go and enter that. You've just got to do the usual things. But if you find the tweets, you should find them, because there's loads of people tweeting on my channel that they've successfully done that. So I don't know how many people have entered, but it's in the hundreds so far. It's been very successful. So we'll be doing that on Wednesday. It won't be on... Right, I may do it on Rokk Around the Clock, actually. It's not the trouble with, I use a new system. John uses it as well, and it's not like the wheel that we used to do, and we will do again, guys. I'll come on to that in a second. So it just kind of, I go to the behind the scenes thing and it tells me who's won. So I haven't made my mind up yet, because I've got to verify that they've done all the steps and stuff as well. So I can't do a kind of live thing, but we'll get it sorted. We'll get it sorted. Yes. Well, indeed. Well, Rokk player. Sorry, I'm talking. I'm looking at the live chat over here, and then I'm looking at where I've got to over here, so I mustn't skip ahead. Eddie says, also cooking while watching chicken pasta. What kind of pasta are you having with your chicken today, Eddie? Is it those tubes with your penne, or my favourite's ravioli? I love ravioli. Ravioli with maybe a tomato and a basil sauce. Mincemeat, maybe. You could do chopped chicken in your ravioli. Gorgeous, those little parcels. Leave it to marinade so it kind of absorbs the sauce. For my lunch today, I had a chicken pasty. Do you guys... I don't know if you guys in the States, I know you're familiar with pasties, but I'm not sure it's the same thing as a Cornish pasty down here in England. And of course, Cornwall, where the Cornish pasty derives, was once a lunchtime meal for miners that would go down to mine tin. And what they would do is, they would have half of it as their savoury snack, which probably was just meat with gravy, and then half of it was possibly some fruit, which would then be their afters or their sweet. But I had a chicken one. I do like a pasty for my lunch, all locally baked, very, very tasty. And then Bjorn says, and now your mama knows Ragnarok is a big deal, but it's no Bannerlord. Yeah, these are Bjorn's big games of the moment, guys. He was put on to Marvel Snap by Ray. Ray's well into Marvel Snap. I haven't played it, but I do believe it's a free game. And Bannerlord, which he was streaming the other day, and he absolutely loves all that malarkey. What else we got? Oh, yes, look, his ant with a big smile on his face. That's lovely. Primo, Hawaii doesn't have daylight savings time. Ah, right, okay. So the fact that well, that's weird because... Yes, so I was going an hour earlier last week, wasn't I? That's why, which would have been correct for North America and Canada, but not for you down in Hawaii, Primo, which is why it was early for you and why you saying, oh, great, it's gone back to 7, bless you. But yeah, we're all caught up again now, guys. We're all on the same time zone, which is cool. Caseball, do you know where the saying, his name is mud? No, I don't know that one. I would be facetious if I said it had anything to do with Star Trek, but I'm sure it doesn't. But do let me know, because I love collecting those. I love etymology, the science of the origin of words and phrases. Etymology, not to be mistaken with entomology, which is the study of insects. You don't want to go to university to study insects only to find out that you're studying the origin of words. You will not have as good a time as you'd hoped. See, Rokk, I knew you'd cover some non-cloud gaming. Brilliant. Yeah, certainly with the giveaways. And it's difficult because some of these big games, like on PlayStation, they're not going to be coming out on cloud for a little while. But Rokk Players, which, as you know, is on a Thursday, a couple of weeks ago, I sent out an edict that we would widen it from pure cloud gaming to include gaming in general, because sometimes, in order to talk about cloud gaming, you kind of have to talk about gaming. And I think that works really well. And so it sits on its own. But there may be a lot more non-cloud gaming content coming to my channel if you stay tuned for that little bit of news. I'm not sure if today I'll mention it. I might hold back a day or two, but a little bit of news coming there at some point. Such amazing people in the chat. Yeah, there are. It's always so many fantastic folk in the chat, Ray. You're absolutely right. We're very, very lucky with the caliber of intellect and majesty and beauty, indeed, that we get in the chat. And there's CGD. Big thumbs up from Lee. Hope you're keeping well, my friend. I bet it's been horrible wet walking your doggies today. Or are you still off? Because you had a few days off, didn't you? I can't remember. I know it wasn't a massive amount of time, so you might be back now. But I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you had a fantastic birthday last week as well. Bjorn's keeping it simple today. It's dinner time 15 minutes ago, which would have been, 6 p.m. for you, I guess. And we just got home, so hot dogs and pasta with ketchup. Hot dogs and pasta. That's an interesting combination. Is that the actual sausage meat? Like those watery hot dog sausages, or is it hot dogs in a baguette or a bun, in a hot dog bun with pasta? Is the pasta a side dish? I'm intrigued. I need to know details, guys. Come on, fill me in. Marvel Snap. Yes, Ray loves his Marvel Snap. Loves a bit of that. Bjorn says, Bannerlord is awesome. Not every game where you can raise a massive army of hundreds and lead them on the battlefield against the uncle of your wife and his army. I finally caught up with the final episode of the new Prime Lord of the Rings series today. And, what a fantastic end of season. I'm not going to give anything away, but it just tied a few loose ends, and I'm not a massive knowledge on the whole Lord of the Rings stuff. I've watched the movies. I tried reading the books, but it was, I think I was quite young and all found it a bit overwhelmingly complicated. Not like Bjorn or Simply Porn Gaming, who are big old knowledges, as I'm sure a lot of you are. But nonetheless, it resonated, and I kind of knew where stuff was going on and everything. So, yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. I tell you what else I love to do on Prime. If you ever watch Amazon Prime, you can. They've got a thing where if you flick up on your controller, for example, it shows you who's acting in the current scene. I forget what it's called, and Spotlight or something. And you can click and you can find out about the actor. And I was amazed. The young lady who is called, she wasn't called Poppy. Is it Brandyfoot? I forget. Anyway, she's an amazing actress. I think she's one of the best actors in the show, with a really beautiful Irish accent. And I was amazed when I flicked up to see that she's actually Australian, which is quite a thing these days, I've noticed. A lot of English and Australian actors are turning up in particularly these kind of science fiction and fantasy shows. Now, I don't really know. If I was cynical, I would say it may have something to do with unions and pay rates, but that's me being cynical. But anyway, to come from Australia with a fairly strong accent, and then be able to pull off an Irish accent was majorly impressive. But it was a good show. Enjoyed it. Probably not quite as much as I've really loved the new Game of Thrones. I loved that. I thought it was brilliant. But I really think that those two combined were amazing. Great sort of couple of things to look forward to. I think I've got one or two, maybe one final Walking Dead. But I think I've said before, I kind of feel like that this Walking Dead has literally come to the end. I feel like everybody in the show, from the front and the back of the screen's just lost interest in it now. So yeah, I kind of feel like I'm going to watch the final episode, and then I know there's a spin-off show. I just really hope they put a lot more effort and budget into the spin-off show than they did both The Walking Dead and the recent spin-off, which I quite enjoyed. Not the prequel, but the one where there was like young people that were going off on a walk. I really enjoyed it, actually, except because it was set a decade after The Walking Dead, it kind of gave away a lot of the plot for The Walking Dead. Not specifically the characters and their demise or otherwise, but just what kind of came after it. Now, that ruined it a little bit for me. But we'll see. We'll see. Team Rokk Love. Team Rokk Love said I'm beautiful. You are beautiful. You're very beautiful. Hot dogs are always a great quick win. I'm not a hot dogs fan, I've got to be honest with you guys. I don't mind a proper sausage in a baguette or what have you, or maybe a barbecued sausage, but I don't like those watery sausages that you get, the wieners that you get in American hot dogs. I'm not a fan of those things. I don't like my meat to have a high water content. I like it to have meat content. But anyway, each their own. I've actually got leftovers roast beef, sorry, from yesterday for my dinner, because the family have all gone away. I'm going to be home alone today and tonight, so I've got to go and resurrect some roast beef from yesterday, which I'm sure will be lovely. And Bjorn's, I'm rocking it with my on reveal deck. Ooh. Classic hot dog sausages. Yeah, without bread. Chop them up, maybe. That could be okay. Yeah, I could see that working. You used to be able to get, I think you still can in this country, in the UK, tins of baked beans, Heinz baked beans, with chopped up hot dog sausages. And because they'd marinated in the tin for probably years, and then you'd sort of heat them up on a saucepan, they were delicious. I used to love those. A lovely bacony, meaty taste in the beans. They were nice. Yeah, for sure. Bjorn says, I need to watch the final episode today. Last day of my yearly Prime sub, and wasn't planning to keep it until Wheels of Time Season 2. Yeah, we'll definitely watch it. It's a great episode, Bjorn. I'm not giving anything away, but let's exchange notes on Twitter once you've seen it, because I really enjoyed it. Blaine, how are you, buddy? Blaine says, is that Harpo, by the way? One of the Groucho, was it Harpo What were they called? The Grouch? Not the Grouch. What were they called? Harpo. Oh, flip me. I've forgotten the name of the brothers. But I'm sure that was Harpo with the squeezy horn. Would it be wrong to watch Breaking Bad for the third time? What an amazing show. Have you watched Better Call Saul? And also, what was the Camino show that was kind of a... Because you basically have Saul, which is the prequel, don't you? And then there was the whole Camino thing, which was the sequel. But they came out not in that sequence, didn't they? But all of it, amazing. I love Better Call Saul as well. No, it wouldn't be wrong. If you enjoyed it, my friend, you should watch it always. Zombieland, best zombie film, possibly Shaun of the Dead. Zombieland was amazing. That's the one with the guy that played Mark Zuckerberg, isn't it, in the Facebook movie? And also... what's his face from Cheers? That features the comedian when they went to his house. See my brain? I mean, it's all in there, guys. It just doesn't come through my mouth. Harpo and Groucho Marx. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Harpo Marx, the Marx brothers. Yes, Harpo, Groucho, and the third one, who I always forget. But yes, amazing comedians as well. I mean, even to this day, hilarious. Some of their stuff's so funny. Bratwursts. Oh, my hot dogs have to be bratwursts. Yeah, you see, I'm not into the old German. Well, I mean, I don't not that I'm not into German sausage in a nice way. I just don't like the watery ones. That's all. Roast beef and alone time sounds like a dream. Yeah, well, you can guess I'm gonna be gaming. I've been trying all sorts since I finished Plague Tale Requiem last week. I've been firing up all sorts. I've been playing some Castlevania. I've gone back to some Resident Evil Village in third person with the new Winters update. But I was a bit annoyed because I was playing a little bit of that and I had a Chrome browser open over here where I was updating my website, my rockshow.com website. And the only other tab I had open was Gmail. So I was keeping an eye on business emails as well. So I was doing a little bit of a play over here and I paused it, right, to go and update my website over here. And I was just banging away and I updated the page and I had a load of content in. And all of a sudden, it froze. The whole thing froze. And then the machine restarted. I was like, oh, come on. I mean, I know I was using I had, like William, I have, and he had a 3080 card. He's upgraded with the standard 10 gig of VRAM, but I was only using. I had Resident Evil on 1440 on a separate monitor, and in the settings, it wasn't in the red because it will show you. It's quite cool in Resident Evil. It will allow you to make changes, and then it goes. You want to kind of keep it in the green or the orange. And if the amount of VRAM you're using gets too high, it goes red. I was in the orange out of the 10 gig. In fact, I think it only allowed me to go to 9 gig. I was only using about 6. So I had available gig. So I've gone through everything and I've optimized all my browsers and the games and GeForce Now and everything not to use hardware acceleration because the card should be left alone to do its thing, and then all the other apps can manage themselves. But I was so flipping miffed. I rebuilt the page in the end, but I just, you know what? Nobody wants that, do they, guys? Nobody wants to lose the work they just spent half an hour on. It certainly is Harpo, and he was the very quiet one. Did you ever hear him in an interview? Obviously, they're all gone now, many years ago. But did you ever hear Harpo talk in an interview? I don't think I ever heard him talk, ever. I mean, they kept that act up. I think originally they would have been vaudeville, a stage act, a vaudeville stage act, as was Charlie Chaplin, of course, and as was Stan Laurel, huge heroes of mine. Charlie Chaplin especially is a massive hero of mine. The man was an absolute genius, and in his day was the wealthiest entertainer on planet Earth, and ultimately was kicked out of America by the House. Or what were they called? The Anti-American Committee, that basically just anybody that wasn't a Republican and was had any kind of left social kind of conscience, they kicked them out. And they were very anti-Semitic about him, although he wasn't Jewish, bizarrely. The funny thing is that he was so cheesed off. There's a little English phrase for you. He was so upset at how the press were calling him out for being Jewish, and he wasn't. And it wasn't that upset him. It was the fact that this anti-Semitism existed at all. You know, why and how dare they make being Jewish a problem? That he happily allowed them to think it, and it all contributed ultimately. J. Edgar Hoover had a massive case file on him. They were always trying. The problem that Chaplin had was at a time when, particularly compared to today, the men had no great compulsion about having younger wives. That was his peccadillo, and it's nowadays we kind of look at it. But Jerry Lee I was going to say Jerry Lee Lewis. Was that his name? The Reese guy that died? I know there was Jerry Lewis, the comedian. There was Jerry Lee Lewis, wasn't there? The musician. And he had because he was from the South of America, and until relatively recently, you could marry, I think, at the age of 13. And so he had a 13-year-old bride, as did the guy from the Rolling Stones, who, again, his name escapes me. I'm sorry, guys. It is unfortunately a thing that I'm struggling with as I get older. I used to have an incredibly sharp mind and memory. The thoughts are in there, but the stuff doesn't come through. And I've looked into it. A lot of it is sleep destroys. It's not the memories. The memories are usually there for all of us, unless you have dementia. And unfortunately, then what happens is you get huge holes in the brain, and it literally destroys all of the synapses that record memories. But what tends to happen is, as you get older, and or if you don't get... Bill Wyman, thank you, Joe. That was exactly the fella. Yeah, he had himself... Was it Patsy Kensit? I forget now, but she was only 15 or 16, very young. But what happens is not the memories as you get older, it's the connectors. And those things can wither away and become ineffective. You can rebuild them. You need to remind yourself of the memories. So it might be watching some videos, rereading a book, watching a movie again, talking to people about an experience in your life, and it comes back gradually. Also, one of the greatest ways to rebuild those connectors is things like scent, smells, perfumes. You can go and visit an old building, and it suddenly reminds you of the smell of your school hall or something, and that rebuilds the connectors. The memories are there. It's the connectors that are destroyed. With me, it's almost certainly two things: stress over the years running a business and lack of sleep. And I don't get any. I need about 8 hours sleep, and for years now, I've been getting maybe 4, 5, 6 hours sleep. So it's had a huge effect on my ability to recall memories, sadly. So my apologies, guys. Grilled sausages. Yeah, no, you see, now if you get the proper, what I call a proper beef or a pork sausage, absolutely stuffed full of meat, not a little thin thing, but like a chipolata, a nice decent one, and grill those, poke them. Did you know that's where the term bangers comes from, guys? By the way, if you've ever heard of a banger, it's like an old English word for a sausage. During World War II, they used to fill sausages with water as well as meat to... because under ration there was less meat around, and if you didn't poke them to let the steam out, they exploded, and that's where the term banger comes from. Yeah, Joe, he was 47, she was 15. I'm sure it was Patsy Kensit, who, I mean, they divorced, and she's married. She actually ended up knocking about with one of the guys from Oasis. I'm not sure if they're still married, but that certainly was a thing. Chariot, great points. How are you, my friend? I hope you keep well. Sleep apnea, but yeah, I got tested for sleep apnea, Adam, and it wasn't the issue. I do have quite narrow nasal cavity, and that goes back to when I got into a fight at school, believe it or not. And this is the truth. Being the flipping hero that I am, I stepped in to break up a fight, and the bigger guy jumped on my back and smashed my nose in, and I actually got kicked out of school. And I was like, hang on, I was breaking it up. But I had to have my nose reset, and you can hear it. You can often hear it when I'm talking. And the nasal cavities are quite narrow, so yeah, I do snore, sadly, which probably wakes me up and other people as well. But I love dreaming. Do you guys have great dreams? I wake up, one of the things I love to do, when I wake up, maybe 5 a.m., I'll put a little podcast on my phone with my earpiece, and I'll drift off again quite quickly. But because it's not deep REM sleep, I have these dreams, and I love my dreams. I have the most amazing... Last night's wasn't so good. It was all about murders, and that was because the mother-in-law came over for dinner, and told us all about the dream she'd had, which was about crime, and it must have been in my brain, and that's the dream I had. But most of the time, I just have the most wonderful Technicolor dreams as well. I love dreaming. Vet, how are you, dude? Vet was more of an Abbott and Costello. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, the straight man and the clown, a classic vaudeville act. Chaplin did a load of that stuff. So there was Chaplin belonged to a troupe put together by a guy called Fred Carno, and he brought together all these amazing comedians in his act. And he toured them across the UK and ultimately toured them to America as well. Now, Fred Carno came from my hometown, believe it or not, and he had a theatre in Exeter, where I live, which sadly burnt down early part of the 20th century. But Fred Carno used to take these guys and he put Chaplin together. He was a big mentor of Chaplin. And Chaplin's brother was his manager. Chaplin's brother got into the troupe, and then Charlie Chaplin, I think his brother was called, it's either Fred or Joe, I forget now. And then he brought Charlie in. Charlie was a great mimic, and he used to do a great stage show where he'd pretend to be a drunk. And what he did was he'd go up into the audience, up into the balcony, into one of the little boxes, and halfway through an act, he would pretend to be this drunk. And people would look up and think, what's he up to? And of course, he would do these amazing acrobatics. He was a born acrobat and a dancer. Rudolf Nureyev, famous Russian ballet star, later said that Chaplin was the greatest ballet dancer he'd ever seen. He was just a beautiful choreographer. Did all his own choreography. And he would pretend to be this drunk, and he'd end up on the stage, and people were, in the end, he became very famous for it. They knew it was him. But in the early days, they thought it was this drunk guy. And that's where really a lot of the actions and activities of the little tramp that was Charlie Chaplin's most famous character came from. I'm a massive, massive fan of Charlie Chaplin. Oh, and Laurel and Hardy. Trevor, thank you so much. Oh, no, Harold Lloyd. Yes, well, Harold Lloyd, of course, did the most ridiculous stunts, dangling from clock faces and, positioning himself with the whole side of a house falling over the top of him. And he did all that stuff himself. Absolutely amazing. Laurel and Hardy were my, from a child up, I adored Laurel and Hardy. And that's the amazing thing, because Stan Laurel, who I believe is related in some way to David Wilson, who pops into the show from time to time. There's some connection, family connection. But Stan Laurel and Charlie Chaplin are both in Fred Carno's comedy troupe and went over to the States. And Chaplin got signed up by Max Sennett, I believe, and as did Stan Laurel. And then Laurel's movies never really did a great deal, and then he was paired with Oliver Hardy, and the rest is history. Amazing. I love both those guys, though. Christopher's listening. Good. Oh, thank you, Christopher. Always an absolute pleasure, my friend. America. You guys have got massive history, and of course Hollywood, which I think, wasn't it Hollyland originally? Hollywood Land, that was it. It was Hollywood Land, wasn't it? And bit by bit became the filmmaking capital of America. And the reason was really simple. It had the most daylight and the best weather. So if you were outside making these comedies, and they made, their work flow for these things was ridiculous. Nowadays a movie might take 6 months, maybe even 2 years to make. In those days they would churn out 10 or 15. They would do 2 or 3 a week, and they were very simple premise, and they were slapstick, which you can imagine on stage where that came from. It was 2 bits of wood, and when somebody pretended to slap someone, there would be a guy behind the curtains hitting the 2 bits of wood together, and it was a slapstick. So all that slapping about and stuff was where that came from. And they were basically making those kind of movies. But because they made them, a lot of them were outside, Keystone Cops, chasing the police around in cars and stuff. They needed really, really good weather. So a lot of the Eastern film studios from New York and so on centered on California, because they just got better light, better daylight. And Hollywood Land ultimately became Hollywood. What else we got here? No kidding. Learned something new today. Bangers. Yeah, Joe. Mate, you sleep about 4 hours as well. Yeah. I can imagine. It's not great for you, is it? Vet's got sleep apnea, and the VA doesn't know how I function every day. because I stopped breathing. Do you have they ever put any kit on you, vet? Because you can have an oxygen mask, can't you, to help you at night. Also, of course, lifestyle, my friend. I've seen those plates of food you shove up on Discord and other places. That ain't doing your belly very good, is it? My snoring could probably wake the neighbours. Do you know, I think most people snore, don't they, really? And it gets worse as you get older. A lot of it can be down to lifestyle, weight, what if you drink. I don't drink. I don't drink any alcohol at all. And of course, as you guys know, I recently lost, what did I lose? 30 odd pounds. And I'm keeping it off. It's always good if you can. How are you, William? Good to see you, my friend. We were talking about you earlier. What were we talking? Oh, I remember. We were talking about the final episode of The Lord of the Rings on Prime. And I was saying I've just watched it. And I loved it. And it kind of brought lots of the story that I know together. But you and Bjorn are experts on said show. So I'm interested to know, maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow, actually. Tell me what you thought in terms of the characters that it brought into the final episode. Two big characters, which I don't want to give away any spoilers. But yeah, I'm keen to know. You could just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you enjoyed it in the end. The Three Stooges. Yep, the Three Stooges. And Abbott and Costello, Three Stooges, yeah, they were a little bit later, weren't they? The Three Stooges, kind of in the mould of the Marx brothers. Do you get deja vu with your dreams? No, I don't. I don't get deja vu in the sense that, I mean, I suppose I may do. I tell you what I do get actually, Aaron, is I'll often. My dreams can be so vivid, and honestly 99% of the time they're so positive. I love them. I used to get what I called anxiety dreams. I could always tell them when I felt I was out of control. So the classic for me would be that I need to make a phone call and I keep missing the numbers, or in the old dials that used to get on the old phones, and my fingers would slip. Those were control. Those were anxiety dreams where I felt I was maybe out of control of I don't know, something in life. Maybe business is usually the root of my anxiety. But sometimes they were so vivid that they would blend in. But I really look forward to my dreams. They're always a similar kind of place, and they're always friendly, and people are friendly. I think a lot of it is down to how you're feeling in life, but equally they can, dreams essentially are just bursts of synapses. It's your brain. Your brain goes into an amazing self-repair mode when you sleep. And it clears out some stuff, and some anxieties are worked out and so on. And they can literally be a flash burst when they've done those ECGs on a brain asleep. What they see are these bursts of energy, but they are blips. They're not long lasting. But in your dream, it can feel like hours of time. And the way that a dream works, you know it yourselves, guys. If you nod off, you doze off for a few seconds, and then you wake up and you feel like you've been asleep for a long time. You've had this fairly elaborate dream, and then you look at the clock and actually you were only asleep for 2 minutes or even seconds. And the way that your brain handles time is completely to one side of the way that time is handled in space and time. For example, when you're younger, and I've always believed that this is the way that that your body works to allow you to absorb more information, but your perception of time is stretched compared to as you get older. So when you go out to play as a kid, it can feel like hours. And then if you go down the road to have a beer at the bar and see some friends after work when you're older, it can feel like it's over in 20 minutes because your perception of time shifts. Time itself doesn't change, but the way that your brain regulates your perception of time changes. So it's just amazing. And you know, as you get older, I'm sorry, but it's true. Your days go like this, your weeks, your months, your years, because of the way. And one way that you can change that is to try and do something different every day. Take a different route to work, or go for a walk somewhere you've never been before, or watch a movie you've never seen, or listen to music you've never heard. And what it does is it forces your brain into training, into learning mode, like when you were young. And it slows down time ever so slightly in your perception so that you can absorb that new information. That's why they always say learning a new language, video gaming is great for us guys. It really, really is good. And the older you get, old man here, I can testify to this. When you're playing a new game, it fires up all of those parts of your brain and slows time down so you can absorb things more slowly. It's a brilliant, brilliant pastime for older people. It really is. And I think we're only going to start appreciating that now when people like me, who are, kind of been there since the dawn of gaming, are getting to the ages where our grandparents and great-grandparents only had TV. They were just passive watchers and they would just switch off. But we're getting to a time now where people like me, as I get older, are starting to exhibit the benefits of gaming for older folk. Sadly, due to the fluoride of the water here in America, my pineal gland. Yeah, William, the dangers of fluoride, and we have it in the UK as well, by the way. There's very, very little health benefits to putting fluoride into water. And I'll tell you why it's there straight away. There was a massive lobby from the pharmaceutical companies and by and large the industrial companies that produce fluoride back in the 1950s to have it put into water. So that stuff's not free. The fluoride industry across America and Britain has been creaming it in for the last, 60, 70 years. And the benefits are minimal compared to the issue. The best thing, there's ways you can handle it. One of those ways is to filter your water, use a water filter out of the tap, or even if you buy it from elsewhere. Be careful with bottled water as well, guys. Plastics in water, in bottled water, can equally be quite toxic over time. And we're now finding every living thing on the planet has plastics in its system, including us, including humans. And plastics don't go away. They decay over 10,000 years, and it's not great. It's not a good thing. We're starting to think that plastics in our system from bottled water may be a contributing factor to things like dementia, for example. So be careful with that. But yeah, William's right. Fluoride's not a great thing. I try and use a toothpaste without fluoride added. And if you have a high fluoride content in your tap water, it's a good idea to filter it and have it taken out, because quite honestly, if you brush your teeth every day and just use basic dental hygiene, you do not need fluoride added into the mix. Vet says mental health issues are no joke. No, tell me about it, my friend. Although I make most of my issues into jokes, even though my PTSD causes daily issues. Yeah, I completely agree, and I've said it before myself. Although I've never been in a traumatic military environment where it could be absolutely unimaginable, and without a shadow of a doubt bound to have an impact on you mentally. What I've had is 30 years in business that's by and large been quite stressful, and that's absolutely had an impact on my mental health. There's no question of that. Red Fox did an amazing drunk character. I'm not aware of Red Fox, Red Skelton. I'm trying to think. There was a couple of comedians. There was a guy that used to turn up in a lot of the movies with Gene Kelly. Red somebody. I thought it was Red Skelton. Maybe he was called Red. Yeah, there you go. Red Skelton. That was the very next message. There you go. You were there. You got there as well. Yes, I remember Red Skelton. He used to turn up in a lot of those old musicals, didn't he? With Gene Kelly and those guys. Yeah, Bjorn, very, very sadly, mental health killed my sister. It's no joke. And that you had just had the anniversary of that as well, my friend, didn't you? My heart goes out for you for that. I did see your tweet, and to be honest, I didn't have anything I could really say. I just sent you my love because, words, when it comes to losing someone that you love, that words are meaningless, aren't they? Let's be honest. Got a drop to eat. You enjoy your Venus, my friend. My food lifestyle is that of the gods. Yeah, man, I can see you're building up a backpack on the front. Soda's not good for you either. And again, it can have repercussions on you mentally. My wife's step-uncle, I think. Well, he was her uncle, but anyway, they divorced. But he used to drink Diet Pepsi all the time. 2, 3, 4 cans a day. It had a big impact on him, a big impact on his digestive system. So everything in moderation, guys. I mean, that's it's the classic phrase, but it's true, isn't it? So Adam has sleep apnea. He has extreme sleep apnea. Well, that's not good. The doctor said it isn't weight. It doesn't have to be. I had, and I cured it myself, a thing called NALD, which is a liver complaint that is almost identical to the same liver complaint that people that drink excessive alcohol get. But mine is called non-alcoholic liver disease. I don't drink. And in the end, the only way to cure it was to lose weight, but or change your lifestyle. But, it can be a number of things, as you've said. CPAP machine pushes air into your lungs through your closed throat. Yeah, do you have that when you go to sleep at night? Wow, man. I don't envy you that, but you know what? If it keeps you alive, Vet has one as well. Fantastic idea. Does it help you, Vet? I guess I'm still waiting to get it, says Adam. Yep, it does, says Vet. If I remember to use it, wow, I would keep using it. And get out for walks. We said this recently, didn't we? Get yourself out and do a walk and do a vlog. I think, these walking vlogs, it's something I fancy doing at some point. Just doing what we're doing here, but walking along with the scenery and the birds and the fresh air, helping each other. Rokk, I wish my dreams were like that. Most of mine are in Iraq, Afghanistan. I'm usually in the midst of a skirmish, but you weren't in any actual military combat stuff, were you? I thought you'd injured yourself in training. Hard to shut the old brain. Yes, very hard. Your brain is, and we're now in. Let's face it, guys. We're in a very dark place in the world, partly because of what's going on in the world, and partly because we've never had so much access to live information and news. And let's face it, the human condition, the planet with which we exhibit, in which we exist, can be a dark place. But we have to find the bright places in life. And you guys being here with me, that's what makes it amazing. Rudigs, how are you, dude? Great to see you. Hope you're keeping well. Great to see you. Sorry, personating. I also wanted to know, do we need to sub to this channel with money? No, you do not. To be eligible for the giveaway. No. If you are a member, which is how you sub with money, you join the membership, then basically you get added to the giveaways. You don't have to go through the process of doing the tasks in my giveaways, if that makes sense. So that's a way of shortcutting it, and of course it also everything goes towards the channel and supports me in all the subscriptions and the giveaways themselves. They are, most of them are purchased by me, and that largely comes from the membership money. But if you don't want to do that, and not everybody can afford to, I get that, then you just have to go and check out my tweets, and you'll see the steps that you need to take to get into the giveaways, but also do member-only giveaways. This week, guys, I've got 3 Blacknut accounts to give away. They're 60-day accounts as well. In fact, we've run out of time, but I was going to fire up Blacknut and have a look at it with you. But I'll do that on Wednesday. Of course, tomorrow is the Rokk show, so we won't have time either. There wasn't. I've just got carried away with chatting with you guys and talking about Chaplin and bangers and stuff. I enjoyed your walking vlogs. Oh, thanks, Eddie. Yeah, in Greece. I did that one in Greece. I did a couple locally. What I'm thinking of getting, and I don't know whether to ask for it from Father Christmas or whether to get it myself, is one of those vlogging cameras which mask the stick. So you kind of hold it down by your waist on a long pole, and then you have the camera, but it looks like it's kind of watching you from a distance. I've been thinking of doing that and then going for walks up in the woods and stuff. The only problem with those is they don't stream, they record. So I need to have a look into it and see if I could stream it rather than just record it. To be honest, creating content, says Adam, and the awesome... Sorry, Joe, beg your pardon, Joe. What am I saying? To be honest, creating content and the awesome community help with my PTSD greatly. Be laser focused on a task. Yeah, absolutely. It's focusing, getting off of that. And I'm sure it's the same for you as well, Vet. It's very therapeutic, isn't it? And gaming, for me, does it. Gaming, for me, what did it really massively was Destiny. Destiny 2 took me away from it all. And then when I was... down with pneumonia, Death Stranding really helped as well. But yeah, gaming punctuates my darkest moments. But doing this stuff, doing this, creating content, the same as you, Joe, this has been my saviour. I've loved it. Coming on here and smiling and laughing with Ray and the guys and William and John and giving stuff away and just creating positivity. That's been massive for me. There wasn't much news. The only one I will say, though, we'll just quickly run into News Laptop. Just quickly pop up here. The only one that I will mention is one game that I played over the weekend, which I loved, was Warhammer Vermintide 2. And when I first fired this up, I thought, oh, no, it's not. I thought it was a single-player campaign thing. I thought, oh, it's got a bit of that. But then it's all kind of campaign and multiplayer and stuff. And Spectre, thank you for rejoining for the second month, my friend. Thank you so much, dude. Great to see you as well. Thank you, buddy. Excuse me. Larry the Laptop. Very quickly, and then I'll let you guys go over to William's channel. So anyway, look, it was free this weekend. I've got a feeling it's still free today. I think it ends today, but I may be wrong. If you can, get yourselves over to Steam, look for Vermintide, and grab this game, because I was blown away at how much fun this is. If you ever played The Dark Tide beta when it came out recently, this is very, 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 very similar, only it's set in the kind of medieval sort of trolls and elves and kind of Lord of the Rings type setting versus Dark Tide, which is more sci-fi. But it's virtually identical. It's great fun. And tomorrow they are updating it. I think there's a big update to Vermintide, or they're releasing some DLC or something, and you get that for free if you've claimed this game. So if you can, grab it. Joe, it wasn't for Joe. Joe, it wasn't for me initially. And I'm the same as you, my friend. I much prefer a single-player campaign. But I have to say, I went in yesterday morning with 3 guys. I don't when I do co-op and stuff like this, whether it's here or Destiny, I never put my mic on unless I know them. I don't particularly want to get into a conversation with them. And there was this one guy with us who took us all in. We were all noobs, and he was typing what to do and stuff and encouraging us. And it was brilliant, and I loved it. And you get rewards at the end. You get those chests with different kind of skins and weapons and armor. I'm going to go and play it now, actually. I really enjoyed it. I might just stream it later on. I might do a little stream of that on Twitch. But all I'm saying is it's free, or at least it was, on Steam, and it's also on GeForce Now, as are all of the Warhammer games. So you grab that. So I'm going to be giving away 3 copies of 60 Days of Blacknut this week, guys. As always, if you are a member, you are automatically in the pull. I'll be doing the wheel on Friday for those, so I'll be popping that up on Twitter later. But don't forget, this Wednesday is the chance for you to win a copy of God of War Ragnarok with 60 days of PlayStation Plus Premium. Get yourselves over to my Twitter at Rokk Show. Without the S, not the same as the channel, unfortunately. And you should be able to find a tweet in there on what to do. We've also, of course, got Callisto Protocol giveaway, 2nd of December. And I think that's pinned to my tweets, I think. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. That pretty much covers everything. Pycon, how are you, dude? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you. Yes, there you go. It's largely been me talking. But I know you guys quite like that, don't you? You don't mind that, guys, do you? You don't mind me chatting? I'd love to know. Let me know down in the description what you prefer. Me chatting, like I just did, or me going through the news, or in fact me playing games. On Fridays now I intend to stream a game for an hour before we do the hours rock around the clock. So let me know which you prefer. If there's any really, really cool news, then I'm going to let you guys know anyway. But there wasn't really. Tomorrow we've got the Rokk Show. So please come and join. I'm not sure yet whether... I think John's definitely going to come in for the first half. I'm hopeful Ray will. I've no reason to assume he won't be. And of course, William. So we'll have our usual mirth and merriment. And then we're back on Rock Around the Clock on Wednesday, where I think we'll have a look at Blacknut. Because I'm quite keen to push those guys this week, given that they've given me some accounts to give away. I'd asked them a while back. I'm really embarrassed. I asked Blacknut and Boosteroid for some accounts and never heard from them. I thought, oh, well, blow that then. And then over the weekend, I realised that I hadn't had my email set up correctly for the address that I gave them to respond to. And I went there and there was email from them all saying, yeah, of course, here you go, these accounts and Boosteroid and Blacknut and stuff. So I was like, what a numpty. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Dealer's choice. Good either way. Oh, thank you, my friend. Yeah, kind of, some days I feel like chatting. Some days I feel like sharing the news. And some days I feel like playing games. But as long as you guys are happy, that's the important thing. And I really, really appreciate you all coming. Right, get yourselves over to Simply Porn Gaming, William's channel. I think he's doing Sniper Elite today, if I remember rightly. I'm going to go and warm up my roast, find out what the family have been up to. Hope they're having had a safe trip and they're all enjoying their time away. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Let's clock out.